Okay, so welcome everybody to this chat with Claire. So I'm streaming, or we are streaming live this evening into the Become Your Own Guiding Light community, and welcome to you all. Because we're on Zoom and this one, I'm not always going to see your comments, but please do say hello as soon as you join us live. And if you'd like to just say hello, that will help everybody else find this chat as well. And that will be super helpful for us as well, and for anybody else that wants to join. So my wish this evening is for you to meet a modern day high priestess. So welcome, Claire. Would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
Thanks, Sarah. So my name is Claire Troy. I'm living in Dublin in Ireland. I'm a high priestess of Star of Gaia, the New Earth. And I'm a healer and have my own range of essences. And I also have a corporate job. So I've got in two worlds.
So what we want to do, thank you, Claire, for joining me tonight. What we want to do is kind of just have a very grounded, but also sacred chat about what it means to be a woman who makes a choice to walk a path of following her own guiding light, because I think that is kind of another word for a priestess, isn't it? Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's very much about tuning in to your own intuition and following your own heart.
And obviously with somebody like you who works in an external role, as you said, in the corporate world. So Miranda's here. Hi, Miranda. Can you share with us a little bit how being a priestess helps that process? Because they feel like very different energies.
Yeah, they are. The corporate world is very masculine. I've been working in that area for over 20 years, close to 25 years. It's very masculine. Even the women working there are quite masculine. I probably was for a long time as well, running on my masculine energy. So the priestess process has really helped me to come back into balance, to balance my masculine and feminine energies, and just to bring more balance back into my life, to stop striving and pushing myself and trying to keep up with everybody else. Probably, one of the big ways it's helped me in the last few years is I've changed jobs twice. I was in a job where I just couldn't hack the pace. So I just left. I kind of, I saw the signs early and I got out early.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I stayed in a job for 13 years before, and I just endured it and I kept pushing myself and ended up really sick. This time around, I left, I took time out. And when I did need to go back, I negotiated a 4-day week, which, lets me do my other work and also lets me have time to myself. So, I really need to make sure I look after myself and keep my own energies balanced and give myself enough time. Which is something, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have done something like that.
Well, sometimes it just doesn't occur to us, does it? I know that I had to get sick almost before I started taking care of myself. And it is also one of my guiding lights, if you like. I know the signs now. I know when I'm moving towards those energies and I can catch myself.
Yeah.
And then it's a choice, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think the priestess process really gave me the courage to ask for what I wanted and what I needed. A few years ago, I wouldn't have asked for a 4-day week. I would have just assumed it's not possible, or I wouldn't be able to get it. But I'd no problem, no problem negotiating for what I wanted.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, since I've known you, you have absolutely followed your path. I've known you because you first of all joined the Flower Essence Diploma, the Essentially Flowers Essence Diploma. That's how we first met. And then the priestess process called you. So what was it? I know that even before you joined the Star of Gaia Priestess process, you were connected to Mary Magdalene and that lineage, and specifically to Mother Mary. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess I've always felt connected to the priestess energies. I didn't quite know why. I did have, you know, past life memories coming back over the years of different lives where I was a priestess or a high priestess. And then it's funny today, actually, Mother Mary came quite strongly into my healing sessions today. And I was just thinking back, because I was talking to one of my clients, her birthday is actually the same day as Mother Mary's feast day, 15th of August. She was telling me about a Marian shrine in Ireland that I hadn't heard of before. And I just started to think, we were having a chat about that. And I started to think about, you know, when Mother Mary really came into my life. And I realized actually that, well, I suppose, you know, I'm Irish, I'm Catholic, so she's always been there from a religious point of view. But really, I suppose she started to come in a more spiritual way and make her presence more known. And probably in my early 20s. Well, actually, even before that, I remember when I was a child, you know, some of my family went to Lourdes and there was a connection there. You know, I received some gifts back from there that I was very, you know, I was very attached to. But then when I started to travel, I noticed that I'd be brought to places just unexpectedly. I might be on a tour and, you know, I was in Turkey and, you know, we landed at Mother Mary's house when I was in Turkey in my early 20s. Another time I was in South America somewhere and we went to the top of a mountain on a cable car and there was a statue of Mother Mary at the top. Yeah, I went, you know, I remember actually one time I was in a shop in Dublin buying a little statue of Mother Mary. And the lady the lady at the counter had a connection with her. And she asked me about my connection and the energy came in so strongly. And that was probably the first time I felt the energy coming in really strongly and I recognized it as Mother Mary. And then I think it was 2018, it was actually while I was on the diploma, I went to India with work and I had a huge, you know, I had a huge initiation into her energies there, which was funny because it's not a country you would necessarily associate with Mother Mary. And coming from Catholic Ireland, you know, I hadn't experienced her energies here in the same way I did there. And it really, I guess, strengthened from there. And then, yeah, with Mary Magdalene, I probably became aware of her in my early 30s through different courses I was doing, women circles. And I traveled to France then. I did a few courses in France in 2014, 2015. And then I became quite ill actually in 2015. And she came in really, really strongly to support me through that. She was overlighting me through that. So that connection then has just continued.
So there's a lot of light in what you're saying there. It's obviously part of a life path. And I think it is. Becoming a priestess is a calling. People know, you know, don't need to, well, maybe encouragement is needed just through human support. But I knew, for example, that before we came to France in 2015, I was just like, there was a part of me that was going, oh, I would love to do some priestess work. And I thought that it was going to be Glastonbury and I had no idea how that was going to work and all that kind of thing. And then I actually had to come to France, and the southwest of France as well, to see a potential opening for me to do it with somebody in the United States online. I mean, how crazy is that? But as soon as I saw it, as soon as I saw the advert, you know, it was like, we start in 3 days. I said out loud to myself, I'm going to do that. And I was like, you know, who said that? It was one of those experiences. And then, you know, I just went for it basically. But, you know, again, it was a calling and I was waiting for that moment when it was just easy to say yes.
Yeah, I had a similar experience, Sarah. And it's funny you talk about Glastonbury because, you know, a few years ago, there wasn't a huge amount of visibility, I suppose, around priestess courses. And there was certainly none in Ireland that I was aware of. And I'd been to Glastonbury and I saw the priestess work that was happening there, and I actually wondered, would I go to Glastonbury to do it, because I didn't really see any other options. So then when you were running it the first time around, I mean, it really was calling to me, but I think I was still on the diploma at that point, and I just didn't have the capacity or the time to do both. So then I think it was very soon after I finished the diploma, you were running your second circle, and at that point I knew it was the right time.
Yeah, so it is just something that you know.
Yeah.
You just know, that's it. And then obviously the timing and the potentials, how it's going to happen comes in, because there are different ways of doing it. So you joined us as on the priestess process. It's a 9-month journey, and then there's a year and a day of integration energies. So you've pretty much shared how that helped you with your corporate job and making different choices and just making it more light-filled for yourself. You were then called to come onto the Star of Gaia High Priestess. Can you tell us why High Priestess? I mean, what's a modern day High Priestess? How has that experience been for you? What's the difference?
I guess the difference with the priestess process, you're more focused on yourself and your own energy system and your own journey, whereas with High Priestess, we start to look at facilitating others, facilitating other priestess, other groups of women or people, and to start to just to hold space for other people, to look outside yourself. The other thing that that I suppose, there was no question really for me that I was going to do High Priestess, because I've had physical problems with my womb space, and the High Priestess process is all about the womb space. So, there was no question in my mind, but that, it was the next step for me to take.
Yeah. And thank you for that reminder. Is it because when we start to follow our own guiding lights, we start to remember how things work, just saying it in a very basic way. And we start to remember that we co-create. This is because, so it was my journey as well, to be very in my head and to be very disconnected from my body, and to follow a path that was kind of aligned in that it was teaching, but I wasn't respecting my body or my energies. And then slowly, particularly when we come into the guiding light type energies, we start to remember the importance of our own bodies. And for, I think, pretty much all healers who are wanting to share their own experiences and possibly have a business or healing practice, whatever you want to call it, we start to realize that this energy does actually flow through us.
Yeah. And I remember saying to you during one of the sessions, and it was something, it's something that I'd been aware of for like many years. Anytime, I'd go for my healing sessions, and anytime I went, the answer was always, no matter what was going on, be it physical, mental, emotional, energetic, the answer was always connecting to source.
Right.
It was like, I turn up and, for years, I kept expecting it to be something different, and it was always my connection to source. And that is one of the things that, we really do connect to, especially in the High Priestess, is so, we're letting go of everything that doesn't serve us, and bringing through more of our source energy, more of our own energy, our own frequency. And I think life just gets easier when we're doing that, and flows much better when we're bringing through ourselves. And actually, one of the things that I really loved about the priestess process was the fact that, one of the things I think I've heard you say most often during that process is that all of you is welcome. Because there are not many places where you can go where all of you it's okay to bring all of yourself, no matter how you're feeling. If you're having like, a crisis or a terrible day, if you're going into the office, into the corporate world, you have to like put on the brave face and pretend everything's fine, and everything in your life is perfect. But in the priestess circles, it's okay to come with however you are in that day.
Absolutely.
And it's not just okay, but it's actually, you know, it's necessary, and the gold is in that.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you felt that. And it is a relief, isn't it? Such a relief to know. And it is one of the things that I've been very guided, to use that word, to talk about in this week in the Become Your Own Guiding Light, particularly towards the beginning, is that where there, as healers, we're very comfortable talking about light. We're not so comfortable talking about shadow, but you know, you can see from the way the light is in my room, where there is light, there is shadow, and the greater the light, the greater the shadow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And depending on the time of year and where the moon cycle, everything's a cycle, you know, and the day, and this is just an example, when I'm in the light, you might be in the dark. And so therefore we can support each other. And the day that you are in the light, I may be in the dark, just because the nature of the cyclical ways. So there's not any sort of failure. There's never any of that, because we just are who we are in that moment. And for many, many people, including myself, the relief of being able to say, actually, I'm not okay, or this is not a great day, is huge. And for nobody to try and fix it,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. And I also think that one of the things, you know, the tools within the priestess process, that when things are not going great, there are tools there to help bring us back into alignment. And one of the ones I've probably found most useful, and has, you know, certainly changed my life, every aspect of my life, is, you know, the practice where we look at what's out picturing in our world, in, you know, in our direct experiences of the world, and then we look inside ourselves to see what's happening inside that's causing that to out picture.
Causing that cording almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
I do remember that actually we had a session together, didn't we, where we focused on something for you, and very quickly it changed, didn't it, on the outside? And it was something that was like, how could that possibly change? But it did.
Yeah, it was to do with, you know, the balance between my masculine and my feminine. And we had a session, and it was out picturing in work. You know, I was in a difficult situation with the males in the office, who were putting a huge amount of pressure on me. And pretty much, yeah, within a day or two, it was like they were different people. So when I balanced my own masculine energy within myself, the external changed.
Isn't it interesting? But also so I mean, there's obviously lots of things we can't have a direct effect on, but then maybe we can. And this is all what it's about. I think being a modern day priestess is about we're connecting with source. So in the priestess, well, we would talk more about the heavenly energies, particularly, but whatever we'd call that. But we're here down on the ground, we're on the earth, and for some crazy reason we decided to do it right now. But we all trust that we're here for a reason. So, but a priestess holds that space between the two, so that because she's got one foot in the heavens and one foot on the earth, there will always be tension there.
Yeah.
Because she's the transmuter. We are the transmuters of that energy. And by the way, you don't have to follow a formal priestess process to be that transmuter. You are that. As a woman, you are that. And so there's always going to be a slight, I guess, what I would call in modern day terms, a kind of messiness, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because of the tension. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, Claire. I mean, I think we had set the intention together before we went live that we would just explore together and have a very honest conversation as to what it's like to be a modern day priestess. The Priestess, Star of Gaia Priestess process doors are opening again this Monday, the 16th of January, for anybody who may be interested in joining us. Claire is part of my team for the priestess process and actually helps me facilitate the process. So for anybody that feels called and you want to know more, I thought it was just really nice for you to meet Claire, because she's been through the process and she actually helps facilitate one-to-one sessions in the process. So I know you did it for the first time last time, didn't you, Claire? How have you found being part a facilitator for the process?
I really love it. I love actually doing the one-to-ones and getting to know the women and witnessing their journey.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real honor to witness the journey.
And again, we have that reflection, don't we? As we witness this journey, we get to deepen our own practice. And
yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for joining me. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you feel you would like to share?
I think, you know, it's a very transformational journey. It can be rocky at times, but I think, you know, if you have the courage to take the journey, there's so much gold within it, and there's so much, you know, opportunity. I think just probably one of the things I'd say is, you know, this time 3 years ago, I would not have gone on a Facebook Live with you. You know that. I would have been terrified to be visible in any way. And I couldn't actually get my healing business, you know, my essences off the ground until I went through the priestess process. It took that for me to be able to make myself visible and put myself out and put the essences out.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely helped me with my fear around visibility and being seen.
Yeah, thank you for that share. And it's something I've seen. This particular priestess process, I think, is the 6th one that I've run. And so I'm starting to kind of see patterns, not that that's what I'm doing it for, but it's one of the main themes that come up is for healers. Many healers, you know, just the nature of being a healer may have a small practice or a bigger practice or a wish to do something different from what she's already doing. And one of the biggest things I've seen is that women who previously were very hidden become unhidden.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure how that happens, but what I do see is that as a healer, we have most likely used our own tools to heal ourselves, whatever that means. We're all works in progress, including me, very much so. And then we can go on to share our gifts, you know, and I offer that as a service through the Empowered Healer programs. But in the middle part, we've got this, okay, so I've healed some of my trauma. And yes, I am going to share what I do. And here's some of the practicals way I could do it. But the priestess process very naturally just gets us to run that source energy. It connects us in, and then all on its own, it starts to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel when you're connected, you know, when you are connected to your own source, your ego is able to just step out of the way. So even though the fear might be there, you might be terrified and all the same doubts come up, you just bypass it and you just go for it. You know, it's like you just can't let it get in the way anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah, certainly been, it's a light-filled process. So therefore, it could be shadow-filled too, because the two will always exist. But it certainly is a beautiful driver of moving through, and particularly at these stages. So thank you again, Claire, for sharing. Yeah, thank you very much for being with me. And for those of you watching live or via the replay, just stay tuned. If you'd like to join our masterclass on Monday the 16th, I'll be sharing more about the priestess process, should you wish to find out more. We hope you've enjoyed, and thank you very much. Thanks, Claire.